Yarros, a fan-made adaptation produced and narrated by Maddie Mooregan, and featuring a full cast. This adaptation is for fun and fandom only, not for profit. The Empyrean series and its characters belong to the brilliant Rebecca Yarros. Welcome to the Fourth Wing.
Chapter 7. In the best interest of preserving peace within Navarre, no more than 3 cadets carrying rebellion relics may be assigned to any squad of any quadrant. Addendum 5.2, Bisgayeth War College Code of Conduct. In addition to last year's changes, marked ones assembling in groups of 3 or more will now be considered an act of seditious conspiracy and is hereby a capital offense. Addendum 5.3, Bisgayeth War College Code of Conduct.
Damn it! My toe catches a rock, and I stumble in the waist-high grass that grows alongside the river beneath the citadel. The moon is nice and full, illuminating my way, but it means I'm sweating to death in this cloak to keep hidden, just in case anyone else is out here wandering after curfew. The Ayakabos River rushes with summer runoff from the peaks above, and the currents are fast and deadly this time of year, especially coming out of the steep drop of the ravine. Tightening my heavy satchel over my sling, I move closer to the river, along the ancient line of oaks where I know one vine of fawnily berries will be coming into season soon. Ripe, the purple berries are tart and barely edible, but picked prematurely and left to dry will make an excellent weapon in the growing arsenal that 9 nights of sneaking out has given me. And this is exactly why I insisted on bringing the Book of Poisons with me across the parapet. Challenges start next week, and I need every possible advantage. I get to my landmark boulder, then count the trees along the riverbank until I find the one I need. Its branches spread wide and high, some even daring to reach out over the river. Lucky for me, the lowest is easily climbable, even more so with the grass weirdly trampled underneath. Unfortunately for me, I have to slip my right arm out of the sling to begin to climb. A twinge of pain shoots up through my shoulder, but quickly fades to an ache, just like it has every evening when Rhiannon has been kicking my ass on the mat. Hopefully tomorrow, Nolan will let me out of the sling for good. The fawnily vine looks deceptively like ivy as it winds up the trunk, but I've scaled this particular tree enough times to know this is the one. I've just never had to climb the damn thing in a cloak before, and it's a pain in my ass. The fabric catches on almost every branch as I move upward, slowly and steadily climbing past the wide branch where I used to spend hours reading. And that's how I know that they should be around here somewhere. There you are. The purple berries are a gorgeous, unripe lavender. Perfect. Digging my fingernails into the branch above me, I manage to keep from wobbling long enough to retrieve an empty vial in my satchel and uncork it with my teeth. Then I pick just enough berries to fill the glass and shove the cork back in. Between these, the mushrooms I've already hunted tonight, and the other items I've collected, I should be able to make it through the next month of challenges. I'm almost down the tree, only a handful of branches to go, when I spot movement beneath me and pause. Hopefully it's just a deer. Of course not. 2 figures in black cloaks, apparently tonight's disguise of choice, walk under the protection of the tree. The smaller one leans back against the lowest limb, removing their hood to reveal a half-shaved head of pink hair I know all too well. Imogen, my squad mate, who nearly ripped off my arm 10 days ago and put me in this sling. And next to her is Xaden Riorson. Oh, shit. There's maybe 15 feet between us, and nothing and no one out here to stop him from killing me. I white-knuckle the branches around me, debating the merits of holding my breath so he can't hear me versus falling out of the tree due to lack of oxygen. They begin speaking, but I can't hear what they're saying, not with the river rushing by. Okay, well, if I can't hear them, then they can't hear me either, as long as I sit tight. What is he doing out here with Imogen? Are they lovers? Friends? It's absolutely none of my business. But I can't help but wonder if she's the kind of woman he goes for, one whose beauty is only outmatched by her brutality. Whatever. They fucking deserve each other. Xaden turns away from the river, as though he's looking for someone. And sure enough, more riders arrive, gathering under my tree. Great. They're all dressed in black cloaks as they shake hands. And they all have rebellion relics. There are almost 24 of them. A few second years and third years, but mostly firsts. I know the rules. Marked ones can't gather in groups larger than 3. They're committing a capital offense right now. Their gathering could be completely harmless, right? Maybe they're just homesick. Or maybe Marked ones are plotting to burn Bisgayeth to the ground and finish what their parents started. I can sit up here and ignore them, but my complacency, my fear, could get people killed if they're down there scheming. Telling Dane is the right thing to do, but I can't even hear what they're saying. Ah, shit. I have to get closer. Sticking to the shadows that wrap around me, I climb down another branch, holding my breath as I test the next one with a fraction of my weight before lowering myself.
We've already lost Sutherland and Luperco.
Like it or not, we're gonna have to stick together if you want to survive until graduation.
One little hop to the right, and I could repay that callous shoulder maneuver she pulled on me with a quick kick to her head. I just happen to value my own life more than I want revenge at the moment, so I keep my feet to myself. A first year raises her hand.
What if they find out we're meeting?
We've done this for 2 years and they've never found out.
Xaden responds.
They're not going to unless one of you tells. And if you tell, I'll know. Like Garrick said, we've already lost 2 first years to their own negligence. There are only 41 of us in the Rider Squadron, and we don't want to lose any of you. But we will if you don't help yourselves. The odds are always stacked against us, and trust me, every other Navarian in the Quadrant will look for reasons to call you a traitor and force you to fail.
Have to admit, it would be nice if a high-ranking rider from my province gave a shit if the rest of us from the province lived or died. I don't want to find a single thing about Xaden Riorson admirable, and here he is, being all annoyingly admirable. Asshole.
How many of you are getting your asses handed to you in hand-to-hand?
4 hands shoot into the air.
Shit.
I'll teach them.
Oh, I recognize him. His name is Garrick. He's the Flame Section leader in 4th Wing. My direct superior, above Dane.
You're our best fighter.
The guy next to Garrick says. He's handsome, with tawny brown skin crowned by a cloud of black curls and a litany of patches on what I can see of his uniform under the cloak. His features are close enough to Xaden's that they might be related. Cousins, maybe? Xaden Riorson did have a sister, if I remember correctly. Shit. What is that guy's name? It's been years since I read the records, but I think it started with a B.
Dirtiest fighter, maybe.
Fucking ruthless is more like it.
Garrick is our best fighter, but Imogen is right up there with him, and she's a hell of a lot more patient. So the four of you split yourselves up between the two of them for training. A group of three won't draw any unwanted attention. What else is giving you trouble?
I can't do this.
A gangly first year says, rolling his shoulders inward and lifting his slim fingers to his face.
What do you mean?
The death, the fighting, any of it. A guy had his neck snapped right in front of me on assessment day. I want to go home. Can you help me with that?
No. You're not going to make it. Best accept it now and not take up any more of my time.
What a dick. The first year looks stricken, and I can't help but feel bad for him.
That was a little harsh, cousin.
The second year, who looks a little like Xaden, says, lifting his eyebrows.
What do you want me to say, buddy? I can't save everyone, especially not someone who isn't willing to work to save themselves.
Damn, Xaden. Way to give a pep talk.
If they need a fucking pep talk, then we both know they're not flying out of the quadrant on graduation day. Let's get real. I can hold their hands and make them a bunch of bullshit, empty promises about everyone making it through if that helps them sleep. But in my experience, the truth is far more valuable. In war, people die. It's not glorious like the bards sing about either. It's snap necks and 200-foot falls. This isn't some fable where everyone makes it out alive. It's hard, cold, uncaring reality. Make no mistake. We are at war every time we step foot in the quadrant. Not everyone here is going to make it home to whatever's left of our homes. So if you won't get your shit together and fight to live, then no, you're not going to make it. Now, someone give me a problem I can actually solve.
Battle brief?
A first year asks nervously.
It's not that I can't keep up, but the information.
That's a tough one.
Imogen responds.
You learn what they teach you. Keep what you know, but recite everything they tell you to.
What the hell does she mean by that? Battle brief is one of the classes taught by scribes to keep the quadrant up to date on all non-classified troop movements and battle lines. The only things we're asked to recite are recent events and general knowledge of what's going on near the front lines.
Anyone else? You'd better ask now. We don't have all night.
It hits me then. Other than being gathered in a group of more than 3, there's nothing wrong with what they're doing here. It's just a group of older writers counseling first years from their province. According to the Codex, they should all be executed for tutoring. If Dane knew, he'd be honor-bound to tell somebody.
When do we get to kill Violet Sorrengail?
There it is.
Yeah, Xaden.
Imogen says sweetly.
When do we finally get to have our revenge?
He turns just enough for me to see his profile as he narrows his eyes at Imogen.
She's mine to handle.
I'm his? To handle? My muscles thaw with the heat of indignation. Don't treat me like some inconvenience that needs to be handled. My short-lived admiration of Xaden is over.
Didn't you already learn that lesson, Imogen?
The look-alike Xaden, Bodhi says.
What I hear, Atos has you scrubbing dinner dishes for the next month for using your powers on the mat.
Her mother is responsible for the execution of my mom and sister. I should have done more than just snap her shoulder.
Her mom is responsible for the capture of nearly all our parents.
Garrett counters, folding his arms over his wide chest.
Punishing children for the sins of their parents is the Navarian way, not the Tirish.
Right, that makes sense. So we get conscripted because of what our parents did years ago and shoved into this death sentence of a college?
In case you didn't notice, she's in the same death sentence of a college. Seems like she's already suffering the same fate.
And I'm not gonna tell you again. She's mine to handle. Anyone feel like arguing? Good. Then get back to bed and go in threes.
He motions with his head, and they start walking away in groups of 3. Just like he ordered. Xaden is the last to leave. Oh my god, I just might live through this. But I have to be sure they're gone. I don't move a muscle. Even when my thighs cramp and my fingers lock as I count to 500 in my head. Only when I'm sure I'm alone, when the squirrels scurry past on the ground, do I jump the last 4 feet to the grassy floor. Zinhal must have a soft spot for me because I feel like
Scream, and you die. Fucking Sorrengail.
His hand yanks back the hood of my cloak. His dagger stays at my throat. How did you know? Oh, let me guess. You could smell my perfume. Isn't that what always gives the heroine away in books?
I command shadows. But sure, it was your perfume that gave you away.
Your signet is shadow wielding. No wonder he's risen so high in rank. Shadow wielders are incredibly rare and highly coveted in battle, able to disorient entire drifts of our enemies, if not take them down, depending on the signet's strength.
What? Atos hasn't warned you not to get caught alone in the dark with me yet?
I brace myself, but he lowers the knife and steps away. I draw my own blade from the sheath at my thigh and raise it as I spin towards him, ready to defend myself to the death. Is this how you plan to handle me?
Eavesdropping, were we?
He sheathes his dagger, like I couldn't possibly pose a threat to him, which only serves to piss me off even more.
Now I might actually have to kill you.
Then go ahead and get it over with. I unsheath another dagger, this one from beneath my cloak where it was strapped in at my ribs, and back up a couple steps. He pointedly looks at one dagger, then the other, and folds his arms across his chest.
That stance is really the best defense you can muster. No wonder Imogen nearly ripped your arm off.
I'm more dangerous than you think.
So I see. I'm shaking in my boots.
Fucking asshole. I flip the daggers in my hand, pinching them at the tips, then flick my wrists and fire them at his head. They land solidly in the trunk of the tree behind him.
You missed.
Did I? Why don't you back up a couple steps? Test that theory. Curiosity flares in his eyes, but it's gone in the next second, masked by cold, mocking indifference. Every one of my senses is on high alert as he moves backward, his eyes locked with mine. His back hits the tree, and the hilts of my daggers brush his ears. Tell me again that I missed.
Fascinating. You look all frail and breakable, but you're really a violent little thing, aren't you?
An appreciative smile curves his perfect lips as shadows dance up the trunk of the oak, taking the form of fingers. They pluck the daggers from the tree and bring them to Xaden's waiting hands. Oh, so he has the kind of power that could end me without even lifting a finger. I hate how beautiful he is, how lethal his abilities make him. As he strides toward me, shadows curling around his feet. He's like one of those poisonous flowers I've read about from the Signy's forests to the east. His allure is a warning not to get too close. And I am definitely too close.
You should show that little trick to Jack Barlow.
I'm sorry?
The neck snapping first year who's very publicly vowed to slaughter you?
He turns his palms upward and offers me my daggers. This is a trick. It has to be a trick. I keep my blade ready, and he moves even closer until my blade presses against his cloak at the level of his abdomen. He reaches under my cloak and slides one blade into the sheath at my thigh, then pulls back the side of my cloak and pauses. His gaze locks onto the length of my braid, and I could swear he stops breathing for a heartbeat before he slides the remaining dagger into one of the sheaths at my ribs.
He'd probably think twice about plotting your murder if you threw a few daggers at his head.
This has to be some kind of game meant to confuse me. I mean, he's playing it really fucking well. Because the honor of my murder belongs to you. You wanted me dead long before your little club chose my tree to meet under.
Do you plan on telling anyone about my little club?
No.
Why not? It's illegal for the children of separatist officers
to assemble in groups of 3 or more. I'm well aware. I've lived at Bisgayev longer than you.
And you're not gonna run off to mommy or your precious little Dane and tell them we've been assembling?
You were helping them. I don't see why that should be punished.
Interesting.
I'm not gonna tell.
We'll see if you keep your word. And if you do, then unfortunately it looks like I owe you a favor.
He looks at me like he's trying to see through me. Then, he steps away, turns, and walks off, heading back to the Citadel. Wait. What? You're not gonna handle me?
Not tonight. Now, get back to bed before your wing leader realizes you're out after curfew.
You're my wing leader. He disappears into the shadows, leaving me just standing here, like a fool. He didn't even ask what was in my satchel. Well, I might be a fool, but I'm a fool with Fonnelly berries.